I want to welcome you back to this study in the book of Galatians. Wow, what a wonderful, wonderful book. Today we're going to be looking at Galatians, the 4th chapter, verses 10 and 11. So get your Bibles out and read along with us. You know, when you read along, you know what, you retain much more of what's being said. We're doing this not to hear ourselves speak. We're doing this so that you can grow in your relationship with God. Now, the Apostle Paul has just finished verse number 9, and he said to the Galatians, he says, how is it that you're going back to the weak and worthless elemental things to be enslaved again? You see, the Apostle Paul is saying, I don't understand you. Why are you doing that? Now, let me just say this. The Apostle Paul is no longer talking about Judaizers or just Judaizers. He's talking about Judaizers, but he's also talking about people who are going back to the worship of idols in the temple. You see, both things were working against the people in Galatia. The city of the region of Galatia was enthralled in demonic worship. They worshiped everything. I remember going to the country of Peru and seeing all the different idols, and been in Chile and seeing all the different idols that people worshiped, and going to the Mayan ruins and the Aztec ruins, and looking at all of these things that they worshiped. Well, that was what the region of Galatia was like. They were bound to the worship of things that weren't God. But on the other hand, there were the Judaizers. They were bound to the law. And the Apostle Paul is writing this letter to set people free. Not only to set people free from the ideas of the Judaizers, but also to set people free from this worship of false gods. And now verse number 10 says this. He says, you meticulously observe days and months and seasons and years. What's he talking about? He's talking about these people who worship and do certain things on days and months. In the New American Standard, the 2020 edition, they add this word meticulously. In other words, they nitpick over what day you're supposed to do this and what day you're supposed to do that. You know, the astrological charts that people follow. You know what? It came from the worship of false gods. By the way, if you're a believer, you better not be reading your horoscope, because it's demonic in source. But they worship days. They set days apart. You know what? So did the Hebrews. Certain days were set apart. Now, I'm not saying that it's wrong to celebrate Christmas, even though I don't believe Jesus was born in that season of the year. I believe he was born in the spring. I'm not saying it's wrong to celebrate the resurrection of Jesus. I'm not saying it's wrong to celebrate Reformation Day, the day that Martin Luther nailed the 99 Theses on the Wittenberg Chapel wall. I'm not saying it's wrong to celebrate 4th of July, Memorial Day, Labor Day. But when you celebrate it in a sense that it's bringing you closer to God, it's wrong. Do you understand? And so Paul here, as he's saying, you guys meticulously observe days and seasons and months and years. In verse number 11, the Apostle Paul says this. He says, I fear for you. I fear for you. Now, this word fear, it's the Greek word phobia. It means to fear. He said, I am really, really concerned about you. Let me say something to you. There are people that God has called into fivefold ministry. There are apostles, pastors, prophets, teachers, evangelists. I got them mixed up, but you know what I'm talking about. And you know what? One of the things that they need to possess in their life is a fear for their people, a fear for the people that they're ministering to. You know what? Let me say this to you and listen to me. If you're a pastor or you're a prophet or apostle or whoever you're following, your religious leader, if they are not concerned about you, stop following him and find someone who is. Now, I didn't stop because I forgot what I was going to say next. It's called a dramatic pause in theater. I want you to think about that. So the Apostle Paul says to the Galatians, he said, I'm fearing. I'm concerned about you. I'm deeply concerned about you. And then he goes on, that perhaps I have labored over you in vain. What's the Apostle Paul saying? He's saying, my concern is that everything that I've done for you is empty. It's useless. Now, when the Apostle Paul used this word labor, he's not just talking about an everyday work type thing. He actually uses a word here that means I have labored until I've been in tears. I have labored hard for you. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever labored so that you were just completely weary and to the point of being in tears for someone else? That's what Paul is saying. He's saying, I fear for you. He's saying, I've labored for you. And then the end of the verse, I hope that my labor is not in emptiness, in vain, without worth, without value. Wow. What a powerful, powerful 2 verses that the Apostle Paul speaks to the Galatians. Do you see and do you sense the love that Paul has for these people? That's why he's writing what he's writing. He has deep concern. He's not just judging them. He's concerned about them. Thank you for watching.